Hi everyone, welcome back. It's so great to see you. So I filmed a whole batch of stuff and I've not actually physically painted for a while, so it's really great to be back in my studio. We went on holiday, we went to Los Angeles for a couple of weeks to relax. Well, I say relax, we walked like 200,000 steps and 10 miles a day. So we had a great time exploring, catching up with friends. So I'm all refreshed. I hit a bit of a creative block, but I feel like that is lifting and I'm just going to explore and have a little bit of fun. So if you've seen some of my socials recently, I said that I'm going to use a number of items over the coming weeks and months to create some abstract art. And I'm going to use different surface areas too. So if you've watched me for a while, you know that I love to use canvas, but I'm going to use a whole range of stuff, including acrylic paper, glass, plastics, and a few surprises along the way. So I hope you're going to enjoy exploring with me. So I'm going to take you down to see the surface area that I'm going to use today, along with the colour palette. But I just wanted to say a big thank you to each and every one of you for watching me every week, for supporting me, commenting, everything. I absolutely am so privileged to be here with you. So let's see what we can create. So let me show you the colour palette. So half of it is a blue inspired colour palette, and then the other half is a black, white and gold. So I've got my titanium white, my lamp black, and then Pebio's iridescent precious gold. And then for the blues, I've got a sky blue light, turquoise blue, Winsor & Newton's cobalt blue, and Amsterdam's brilliant blue. They're all mixed up in my cups, pouring medium water and paint. I'll list all the ratios in the description box below. But this is the colour palette that I'm going to start using for a number of creations. So today I'm going to use acrylic paper. So I normally use a canvas, but the whole point of experimenting is to use different surface areas for acrylic pouring and abstract art. And I wanted to create a frame or a border. So I've used some masking tape around the edge of the paper. And as you can see, you can easily remove the tape from the paper without ripping it. So I'm adding some blue and some white paint to the paper. I'm going to use a sponge and create the background. And today I'm doing a wave. Now, when I first started fluid art, a wave was one of the first paintings that I did, but I did it with a hairdryer. Today, I'm doing the background with a sponge. I'm going to create the outline of the wave with a palette knife, and then all I'm going to do to finish the creation is use string dipped in paint. Hear me out. So although string isn't a paintbrush or a normal tool to use for actual painting, it creates some really great lines, and the movement that I can use the string with creates that movement within the wave. So I hope you enjoy the process. Let me know what you think as we go along. But this is all about creating some movement within the piece. So as you can see, I've now got my palette knife and I'm just going to use the palette knife to spread the paint on the paper, and then I will add in the string. So, as we all know, the ocean constantly moves. Even when it looks still, there's movement underneath. So, I'm not being too fussy about the texture. In fact, I want to create different texture using these different tools within this piece. So, we've got a texture that's been created using the sponge. I'm creating a thicker texture with some movement using the palette knife. And then I'm going to use the string dipped in the paint to create the lines on top. This is also about layering your paints, layering the surface area. And here I'm just removing some of the excess paint from the paint that I've just layered using the palette knife. And be mindful that if you do use acrylic paper, it's still absorbent. So whenever you put your paint, especially if it's fluid paint down, it will absorb into the paper and ripple. But there are ways to do that. There are ways to kind of fix that. So don't worry about that at the moment. When it dries, you can either iron it out or place it within 2 heavy books to really flatten the piece. But just enjoy being in that process of now. Enjoy the process that you're seeing and let me know what you think as you go along. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a like and a thumbs up, because if you do that, that lets me know that you're enjoying the process. You'd like to see more of this kind of thing as well. I decided that probably using one piece of string at a time is the way forward. It may take longer to create that look, but it just means there's going to be hundreds of lines that you can put down on your paper using the string. And that in itself really helps create that movement within that wave. I'm just sponging on a little bit more of the white. It almost acts as the spray from the wave and the sea, but also lightens up the background. So once I've done that, I'm going to remove the tape that's around the edges and I'll show you this version. So here we go, the finished version, using string and a sponge and a palette knife to create the wave. I love all those different textures and lines that you can see. I love the effect of the sponge in the background, and that string has really helped capture the movement of that wave that you would see in the ocean. I really enjoyed this, I've got to tell you, and I might even try this technique on a canvas too. So I'm going to let this dry. I'll show you the dry version, but I really appreciate all that movement within this piece using that string. And it's amazing how some things that we have in our home, like string, can really help create a piece of abstract art. This is now fully dry. It's slightly rippled on the paper, but that's okay. That's because liquid and moisture have been absorbed into the paper itself. But what I intend to do is place this piece of paper within some books to help it flatten out. And if that doesn't work, then I will just gently iron the piece of paper. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so excited to show you how I've created some abstract work using different surfaces and different tools. So I can't wait for you to see some of the pieces that I'll be revealing in the coming weeks. Thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye.